Welcome to the Brother Henry and You Show. I am your host, Henry Harris. Hello everyone, this is Henry Harris and you're watching the Brother Henry and You Show. We have been in an amazing series talking about narcissism. I believe that this is like I said in the last episode, this is a very important subject. It's something that a lot of people are dealing with. And I think overall we all just need to be educated and informed on what this subject is all about. So we had a great show last week. Got a huge response. A lot of people enjoyed it. And today we're going to go into part 2. Remember, we're going to be talking about this for about 5 weeks throughout October. And so we're going to part 2 called I Promise I Will Change. I promise I will change. How often have you heard that before? Specifically from the abuser. Today we'd like to dive into part 2 to address this, and we're going, like I said, we're going to talk about I promise I will change. The $1 million question that many people have today is that is it even possible for the abuser to change, or the narcissistic person? That's the $1 million question that many people ask, because many people feel like that most abusers and narcissists are irredeemable. Like there's no way of them changing. I would say in my own experience, based off of what I've seen personally, that the chances are likely to none for that narcissist to change, because there's steps that has to be taken for that person to change. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So I can hear you right now, especially who may have had an interaction with a narcissist. Your response would be, well, probably no. There's no way the narcissist would change. The likely chances of a narcissist to change, as I recently said, are slim to none. And there are many reasons why they don't change. So first of all, should you believe the narcissist when told that they will change? Like if a narcissistic person comes to you and say, I promise I will change, I won't do it again, I'll change my ways, I won't do this, I won't do that, whatever that toxic and behavior is towards you, should you believe that narcissist when they tell you you should change? And secondly, how many times does the narcissist have to tell you that they will change only to repeat the offenses again and again and again? So should you believe them? And secondly, how many times do they have to tell you that they will change when in reality they're really not even trying to change? It's manipulation. I said this in the last episode. Anything that they can say to reel you back in or to keep you around. I'll change. Empty promises. Because if they was going to change and make a real change, they would have been and done it. You don't want to stay with somebody that's going to be repeating those offenses over and over again, making empty promises of change, when in reality they're not trying to change anytime soon. Oftentimes when the narcissist does something in an abusive manner, the narcissist will respond, I promise I won't do it again, or I will change. We've all have probably heard that, especially you ladies out there. But I've often asked myself this question, and man, you know I love to ask questions. What does that really mean? Like, what is the motives behind those words? And here's the motivation behind those words, I will change. They are being dishonest. You may want to make a note of that. When they say, I will change, they are being dishonest. Why? Because until the narcissist is awareness of their behavior, here go your answer, they will never change. I hate to be blunt with you like that, but that's just the way I am. They're not going to change. You can stick around with him or whatever for years. They're not going to change. I know people right now that have been with a narcissist for 20, 30 years, still waiting on that individual to change. They're not going to change. The only way they're going to change is that they have to be aware of their behavior. They have to be aware of their behavior. And the only way to be aware of something, watch this, you have to acknowledge it. Ouch. You may be saying, why am I saying ouch? Because that's something really tough and a hard pill for the narcissist to swallow. So I have to be aware of my behavior and I have to acknowledge it, which the narcissist will not do, by the way, because in many instances, they will shift the blame on the victim. But you're still thinking that they're going to change because, oh, he told me he's going to change. It doesn't happen that way, people. The narcissist has to be aware of their behavior and they have to acknowledge their behavior. And acknowledging doesn't mean covering it up or making excuses for what you've done or shifting the blame on your partner or whoever it is you're being abusive to. They tell you they will change to keep you around. And please hear me out today. They will tell you they will change because they know they probably wouldn't be able to get away with such manipulation with someone else. This simply means the narcissist will have to confess everything. And confession simply means I tell the truth. How many of you know of narcissists that will literally be aware of what they've done, acknowledge what they've done, and actually confess what they've done? Let's face it, most narcissists are liars. They are liars. They wouldn't know what it meant or how to be honest if it bit them in the butt. Because they have lied for so long, and even to tell someone you're going to change when internally and mentally you know you're not going to do that, that is manipulation. Especially when you know deep down inside that you like the way you are. And most narcissists don't see nothing wrong with not only who they are, but they don't see nothing wrong with what they're doing. They see nothing wrong with their behavior, which as a result, they don't see no need of changing anytime soon, even if they make promises to you that they are. So they're lying. So we talked about acknowledgement. That's very important. That's the only way the narcissist can change. They have to acknowledge it. The narcissist must acknowledge it, and this is what that looks like. Do you want to know what that looks like? This is what it looks like. I recognize and I am aware of the pain, the trauma, the harm, the abuse, whatever you want to call it, the damage I have caused in your life. And I want to change my behavior. And whatever steps I need to take to make that change, I will do it. Until you hear that, followed by actions. See, some of y'all listen to narcissists, their words. You take them at face value. No, he can tell you that, but that has to be followed by action. Oh, not just, I'm going to change, I promise I won't do it again. No, you're aware of it, you're aware of what you've done, the damage you've caused. You acknowledge it, you confess it. It's followed by something. Not just empty promises. The problem with a lot of people, particularly women, you have this attitude that you can change them. That's laughable, ain't it? You can't change that person. And I'm sorry, but that is very laughable. It's also important to remember that narcissists aren't fixable. You have better luck pouring your energy into a full-blown alcoholic because very rarely what you're doing may help them to get sober. The narcissist will not change until they are ready to change. You can't pray for them. You can't take them to church. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't yell at them. You need to change. You need to do that. You're actually making it worse. You're actually enabling them. When you act that way towards the narcissist, you're almost like a part of it. You are enabling them to keep doing what they're doing. There's nothing you can say or do to change them, not until they are ready. And we need to get that in our head. You can't change them, not until they're ready. No matter how many empty promises they tell you, they won't never change until they are ready. And God knows how long that will be. And I most certainly, if I were you, wouldn't be waiting around to find out. So, listen to this. If this is truly a narcissist that's telling you that they will change, my only reaction to you is run far, and run fast. My friend, you are literally, you don't even understand it now, you're literally wasting your time and you're wasting your life going to get shafted worse than you could even possibly imagine, trying to be optimistic. And I don't want to give up. And I love him. And we've been together a long time. Thinking that that person is going to change. And if you keep loving them for what you think they are, then you're not a victim. You're a volunteer. Can I say it again? If you keep loving them for what you think they are, you're no longer a victim. You are a volunteer. So don't feel like you need to wait around, because the narcissist did say that they would change. They did say it, right? Anyone with common sense, and not only common sense, but anyone with logic will see that that person is not trying to change anytime soon. So if persuasion and guilt and attention getting behaviors don't pull you back into that relationship, the narcissist pulls out the promise to change card. Always keep that in your mind. There will be no change anytime soon until they're ready. And you'll find yourself in that relationship for days, perhaps weeks, years, waiting on that person to change. And my only response to that is, don't hold your breath. Remember, you may not like the way you're being treated, but you can't change a narcissist. This is why it's important today to educate yourself about this subject and learn more about this disorder. It's a serious disorder. It is important to create boundaries and to be clear about your boundaries. So don't just create boundaries, but be clear to the narcissist about your boundaries. Not that they respect that anyway, but you need to stand up and be clear about where you stand and what you're not willing to tolerate anymore. As much as I don't think it's right to say that someone will never change, the chances are slim to none unless they seek some kind of therapy or some kind of help, because it's impossible for them to change on their own. They simply just cannot do it, especially on their own. A narcissist cannot change on their own. They just can't. I think everyone is capable of changing, don't get me wrong, but it will take a lot of admitting what you've done. You know what that also looks like? Taking full ownership. I'm not going to blame this person. I'm not going to blame that person. This is what I've done. You're taking full ownership of your behavior and what you've done. There needs to be a willingness and the ability to take the time to recognize the destruction, the impact that you have caused. I'm talking to the narcissist right now. That you have caused in that person's life. So if you think about it, the question really isn't, can a narcissist change, as to does he or she see anything wrong with the way he or she operates. So it's not really about can they change as to do they even see anything wrong with what they're doing. Because like I said, if they don't see anything wrong with what they're doing, they're not going to change. Because that's how you will see if they will change. If they don't see nothing wrong with their behavior, if they don't see nothing wrong with their actions, they will never change. No matter how many promises they make to you, they're just not going to change. Do they see enough wrong with the way they operate to take actions instead of default back into future faking promises? If someone has the capacity to doormat you, waiting for them to change is like waiting for the sky to turn green. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. So the surprising thing is, I always hear is, well, he or she wasn't like this in the beginning. You know, the honeymoon stages where everything is lovey-dovey. They weren't like this in the beginning. I don't know, all of a sudden, you know, he's just changed. They were kind, sweet, loving. What happened? That's the way the narcissists always present themselves, right? Kind, sweethearted, gentle. Until you discover who they truly are. A narcissist is not going to show you their real selves. At least not in the beginning. Maybe the first few weeks, you'll see a calmer side, a nice side. And then all of a sudden you start to see some red flags. Pay attention to that. Especially you ladies, pay attention to that. It's time to stand up to this. It's time to take a stand. Don't settle for empty promises. If they say they will change, you now have the tools to discern if they will change or if they're just blowing hot air up your you know what. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Join me next week. I know a lot of people who deal with narcissistic people, especially in relationships, they make one question their sanity. They make one think, am I the crazy one? That'll be the subject next week, and I can't wait to talk to you about it.
We hope you have enjoyed today's program. We want to connect with you. Visit us at facebook.com/The Brother Henry and You Show, or visit us on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Henry Harris 100. We're so grateful you tuned in today and hope you have a fantastic day.